So there's a lot of bad ideas, misinformation, and just stuff that isn't thought about in music. So today we ask, what are we even trying to do?
What are we going to learn today?
Hey everybody, Shane with 3MG and today I want to talk about dynamic range. So, I'm not going to go into technically what it is, we may do that in another video, but I'm going to talk about some things that you need to think about when you're recording music about dynamic range. Because we've all gotten an album that somebody's recorded where you have to ride the volume knob, and while those are good ideas, there's some stuff you just have to be thinking about to avoid having stuff that's more of a chore to listen to than it is good. So, first of all, let's talk about compression. And I'm not talking about digital compression or compression on the mix or anything like that. I'm talking about physical compression. And we'll start by talking about this with the least compressed music that you can listen to. So classical music has the least compression because it tends to be one stereo track in a well-prepared room and you get what you get. But let's think about it. The biggest diaphragm you can get on a mic is maybe 1.5 inches compared to an entire room full of people moving air. So right off, there's physically not even enough travel in the mic diaphragm to 100% accurately capture the difference in volume between, say, the entire orchestra playing and 2 people on a solo. So even in this case, the dynamic range being as great as it can be, you still don't actually get what was there on the day. So this idea that dynamic range equals more live sort of sounds can be a bit flawed. Let's say there's a high dynamic range at the input, which there is, and then you go and listen to it through 3-inch speakers in your car. Well, those aren't going to move as much air as an entire room full of orchestra, are they? Or even worse, if you will, earbuds. Those are millimeters. Now, the second thing, we'll go into multi-track recording. This is going to be the stuff that most people do, right? And the next thing you need to understand after compression is noise floor. So I'll do another video about noise floor that talks more about it in depth, but the quick version is that whenever you record an input, you record everything around that input in frequency. So, every time you turn on your mic, it picks up some amount of, say, 10K. 25 tracks later, you may develop a hiss. The noise floor rises every track that you put in. And yeah, you can cross it out, you can EQ out the things that you don't want, and that's what you should do. But the noise floor is still going to rise because the mic hears what it hears. You do get away with this a bit if you kind of work in the box, use a lot of samples, but that's a different matter entirely. So for instance, when you're going for a high dynamic range in these kind of recordings, if you want a solo acoustic guitar lightly played to be very soft in the middle of your giant 45-track rock song, it may turn out that acoustic is not even as loud as the noise that you've ended up with from the rest of your recording. Now, the answer to that is simple. You turn that sucker up, which comes to my last point. And that point with dynamic range is, what are we even trying to do with it? So, a lot of times the idea is sort of presented as, well, it's more expressive, it's more live, things of that sort. Look, the genre is going to determine what you can do with that kind of stuff. So for instance, with classical music, you get this high dynamic range. But let's think about practically. It has as much variance as it can possibly have based on microphones and speakers and things of that sort. Would you even want to be trying to relax and listen to classical music and have a wall of your house knocked out and the orchestra be there hitting you in the face? Would you even want that? What are we trying to do? With any kind of multi-track recording, most of that, pop, country, bluegrass, any of this, stuff that has a wide listening audience, those people a lot of times passively listen. Anything that's going to be on the radio, needs to be quite loud all the time. Because what you don't want is for pieces of the song to just disappear if you're driving with the windows down. And now you have to always be riding the volume knob to hear what was going on. So, like I say, these are things to think about. Like, really think about. Why do you want this wide dynamic range in your recordings if you're going to give it to people that just want to listen to it on a run with their earbuds? You know, they're going to want to know what you did without having to work themselves. Anyway, there you are, dynamic range. If you have any comments, questions, what are your thoughts on it? Leave them down in the comments, subscribe to the channel, and like the videos. There will be more coming soon.